So, how do you measure success? Is it gradual progress towards a worthy ideal, or what that outcome may be? Because success is oftentimes not as you envision it to be. It's something that happens and you just end up in a successful state. And it's not actually a destination, it would actually say it's a process that takes time to develop. And I would say, I was asked this question before, like what would you say is a success story in the work that you do? Now, my name is Taharka Sankara, and I'm a licensed clinical social worker. I'm a licensed clinical alcohol and drug counselor, and I'm certified as trauma-focused cognitive behavior therapist. And all that means is that I empower parents and youth to develop and refine the quality of their relationships so that they can enhance and improve their self-awareness. They can develop their communication and also some management skills, emotional management skills in particular, so that they can enjoy a peace of mind and so that there will be a good transfer of intergenerational health. And I emphasize that point of intergenerational health because oftentimes we hear people speaking about transfers and inheritances and legacies and things like that, but usually those things are like in monetary value, material possessions and things, right? And I want to make sure that we understand that it's about that health transfer, because your health is actually your wealth, and if you don't have health, you will not have no wealth. All right, so you want to make sure that you're transferring some healthy practices, some healthy mind states, some healthy behavior patterns, some healthy emotional stability to the next generation. And so when I think about my success stories or an event or an incident that can be considered success, now I work with many different types of youth over the course of my career, my profession, and oftentimes, like when I'm working with them, there seems to be no glimpse of success, right? And I give you a quick example of a situation I was in several years ago. Young guy was about 13, 14 years old at the time. And he often found himself in trouble, getting kicked out of school, suspensions, skirmishes with the law, being arrested and things like that. And every time I went to sit down with him, he used to have a resistance, a negative attitude. I don't know why you here. This is not gonna help me. You just wasting your time. And intermittently, so we had times of flow, and then we had breaks, and then he'll be referred right back to me again based on his behavior over the course of time. And I'll be honest, like the types of situation this young guy was getting in, the type of frustration that the parents were dealing with, the type of disrespect and lack of receptivity towards what I had to say and what I had to share with him, and how I was trying to walk him through the process of identifying the outcome for himself that will be more desirable, and how he can take action steps to actually achieve that. But it didn't come until like I stopped working with him, and several years had passed by, and coincidentally I seen him. I was in the park, and he happened to be walking in the park, and he noticed me. I didn't even know it because obviously he grew, he's taller, he has a little more facial hair. So he wasn't the same type of guy that I seen before, that I remember. And so he was like, "Hey, Mr. Taharka, Mr. Taharka." And I'm looking, and he was like, "Yeah, it's me." And I'm like, and he was like, "Yeah." And so we sat down for a minute to chop it up for a little bit. And he's like, "Yeah, like, and at this point, he had ended up having a child, and he actually had shared with me that, Mr. Taharka, like, I know I was being a knucklehead when you was meeting with me, and it may seem like I wasn't listening and I didn't hear anything that you was saying to me." He said, "But I found myself reflecting back and hearing you and listening to you and actually thinking in terms and taking some action steps based off some information you shared with me." And so he expressed appreciation. He identified some value in the lessons that I shared with him. And that was, heartfelt, right? Because I tell you, like, this is a guy that I did not think was receiving anything. And it goes back to that concept of seeds and trees, right? Like, you plant a seed in the soil. And once you plant that seed in the soil, it's under the surface. You don't see anything happening. You could water it, the sun could be shining on it for days and days, weeks and weeks, and months, and you don't see anything happening. But lo and behold, eventually it begins to germinate and it begins to sprout and break the earth's surface. And that's when you start to see the tree emerge, and it starts to grow, it starts to develop leaves, branches, and it actually begins to produce fruit. And it's a process in that, right? And so I don't want you to think that what you may be doing at this moment or trying to make happen with your child at this moment is not actually working. It just may be working. And you want to just think about the process, right? Just engage in the process, the right type of process. And eventually you will produce the type of child that you so much desire. So again, right? Like, this is a success story that I experienced, and it didn't happen in the moment. It happened years after, when I got feedback from the young man that I was working with. And so I want you to think about your process and how it's going to take time, and be patient about what will come about in the future. But in the meantime, right, you want to join the Next Gen Parenting Group, where we have an opportunity to engage and discuss and activate some new ideas and some new tools, some new techniques that can be helpful to you. Is in the Next Gen Parenting Group. Is the virtual village where we get to raise our children collectively, and you get to participate in that. So I look forward to seeing you in that Next Gen Parenting Group, and I'll see you in that room.